question I get when people find out that I sim race, whether they be like coworkers or family members or something like that, is they'll ask if it's made me a better driver in the real world, which is kind of funny because it's not something that we think about as sim racers. We usually think about, will these skills translate to the track? And I've been lucky enough to actually be able to test that theory a little bit and drive around a racetrack in a GT4 Cayman, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, when you really think about it, I mean, does it really affect our ability to drive a car in real life? And I think this story attests to that. This is the story about how sim racing saved my life. First, though, let's talk about the machine that saved my life. This is my 2023 Toyota GR86. It is a 6-speed manual. It has like the GR exhaust on it, some stuff like that. But other than that, it's pretty much bone stock. But it is an amazingly fun little car. And those in the GR86 community affectionately call them Porsche. Emphasis on the poor, so double O's. But it's just nimble and spunky enough to be a ton of fun to drive, but not so much that you're going to get yourself in trouble. I often say it's the funnest car to drive at the speed limit, or slightly a little bit above. So I've had it going on about 3 years now. It only had like 4,000 miles when I bought it, which, funny enough, Toyota will give you a free track day when you buy a GR car. You just have to call them up, arrange it, and they'll send somebody out to meet you for a track day in their car. So shortly after I bought it, with only 4,000 miles, I called Toyota to see if it had been redeemed, and it had been. So one that I can guess is whoever bought the car drove it for like a month, took it to a track day, and I guess maybe they wanted a super or something, but whatever, it didn't work out. So at the time, I was working about 40 minutes away from my house. I was commuting about 40 minutes every day, which sucked. But if anybody who's had to commute like a decently long commute like that, you know, like the last like 10 minutes can sometimes become a blur. You've had those moments where it becomes so routine that sometimes you get home and you can't even recall the last, few minutes of driving. This was definitely one of those days. I was pretty close to my house. I was within, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes from my house when this happened. But I'm on a back road, this very back road that I'm driving right now. And suddenly I'm coming up through like a really short, kind of slight uphill bend. And we'll put the footage in here so you can see it. When a Dodge Ram breaks loose and comes across the double yellow line, coming directly for me. Now, I think most people's instinct in this moment when you see a car charging towards you is to slam on the brakes. And rightfully so. I mean, that's your instinct. Or maybe you do have the alternate instinct that maybe is just slamming on the gas and just trying to power through it. But in this particular instance, both cases probably would have resulted in my death, or at least severe dismemberment, or severely hurt. So most people in this situation are going to respond one of two ways. Either you're going to slam on the brakes and just try to stop before whatever happens, or you're going to slam on the gas and you're just going to try to power through it. In this particular instance, with the amount of space we had and the quickness with which the Ram was coming at me, I don't think either of those would have avoided it hitting me. If I didn't wind up dead, I mean, where I live is a pretty rural area. No one's just driving around stock Ram 1500s. It's lifted, big old tires. The thing would have demolished me. So what iRacing has taught me, especially driving like ARCA and street stocks where there are no cautions. So you gain a lot of positions and you can really improve your standing by learning how to drive through these situations as safely as possible. And one technique is to what I call extend the accident. If you turn with let's say a car is coming at you, you turn with the direction that they're coming, and you essentially try to like beat them to the corner. It's no different than trying to beat someone to a corner. You got to beat them to that apex point and then get around them. So imagine driving to, extending that point of contact that they're going to run into you, where your paths are going to intersect, but extending that as far as possible so that you can try to get around, essentially. But luckily, my significant time in iRacing trained me what to do in this instance. And funnily enough, I know the exact moment that led to this technique being deployed. So here's the wreck that we're talking about from a street stocks race at Charlotte. You can see the wreck happens. Everybody piles into it, and they start coming down, and I just have to beat him. There was.
Woo, we got through.
That's essentially kind of the same maneuver.
That was close.
So here's another angle. You'll see as they're coming down, there's nowhere to go. So I'm just going to try to beat them, beat this car to it. Again, just extending the incident and making sure that I can clear through.
And that's pretty much what I did here. And I can honestly say that's not something I ever would have done if not for sim racing. Like, my brain would not go to that being the maneuver to take, the evasive maneuver to avoid this truck. So what I do is immediately just pull off to the right. It's off in the grass, but I don't care. It's not an off-road vehicle, but you know, it's thinly grassed enough that I can just get off. So I pull off to the right, and I just pull as far as I can in the same trajectory that the truck is coming at me. And I get to past that point where we would intersect and do like a drift around the point where the truck would come. Truck just goes flying straight through, goes off into the grass behind me. I don't think he hit anything. I think he was able to gather it up.
So here's another angle here from a top-down view and of where we were at. And so essentially I was coming this way and the truck was coming from down here. And I don't know exactly what happened through this corner, if it hit like a puddle, or I don't think it would have been cold. I don't think there would have been any ice around this time. But for whatever reason, or if something is broke, he kind of snaps and crosses over, and it's coming down through here as I'm coming this way. So I see he comes across the line, and so this is where I start pulling off into the grass here as he's coming. And so what I was saying is, if I slam on the brakes and just skid into it or try to just beat him, I don't think I would have. But by extending it out, I was able to go around as he came through and just kind of went off into this area. And then I rejoined right here, avoided the mailbox. I think the mailbox is right here, and then got right back on. But that was my drift maneuver I had to do to get around the oncoming truck that was coming through. So there's my crude telemetry or telestrator for you of the incident.
To be honest, after it was clear and I pulled back onto the road, after my Dukes of Hazzard move and I managed to avoid the mailbox and I pulled back onto the road, I never even slowed down. Dropped into a lower gear and just continued home. And I can tell you that for the rest of the night I was pretty shaken. Like I was shaking and just thinking about how close that had come. So that was like pure instinct just kicked in that moment, and I just did what I react in iRacing to do, and it 100% worked in this particular instance. But yeah, I never got an explanation for why it happened. I didn't stop to talk to the guy. As far as I can tell, he went off into the grass. I went back like the next day, and I could see like tire marks, but the fence of the waste facility that's there didn't seem to get hit. I don't think he hit anything. So, you know, wherever you're at, dude out there, you're welcome for not totaling your truck as well. And it really is like a fight or flight response. I mean, those of us that have been sim racing for a while, especially if the similar tracks, you kind of learn where cars are supposed to be or what a car that's under control look like. And the millisecond something wiggles or something takes an awkward line or something isn't in the place that you're anticipating the car to be, those reflexes snap in for a lot of us, especially oval drivers. When you're like on these tracks and you're in a pack and you see somebody all of a sudden move half a lane down and that back end kind of wiggle, like you almost immediately tense up and get ready to go left or right or do whatever you gotta do to avoid it. And you don't always avoid it. Sometimes you get caught up in it, and you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But like those instincts kick in either way, and I'm not sure like those same instincts exist. You know, I think we all do have a fight or flight response. If it's that same truck broke towards a normal driver, they're going to react, but their instincts are going to be to, again, either slam on the brakes or gas it up, both of which would have, you know, resulted in a head-on collision. But I'm really eager, and part of the reason I want to make this video is I want to hear from you guys. Is there any moment in your driving that you honestly feel like the skills that you've adapted in sim racing
either led to you like avoiding an accident or, I don't know, something else within daily driving, where you can pinpoint exactly at that moment and say, I would not have been able to do that if not for skills that I developed in the sim. Other than that, just a crazy little story I like to share, as I really feel like without sim racing, I might be dead right now. And I have a whole other theory, if anyone's ever heard of the multiversal immortality theory, that, you know, you don't ever actually die, your brain just jumps to another timeline where you survived. That's definitely a point where I'm like, yeah, I might have died, and then my brain just jumped into the one timeline where I managed to avoid the truck. But that's a whole other conversation to have. So thank you, Sim Racing, in total, for giving me the skills to save my life. Thank you, Toyota, for building this amazing car. I don't know if a Camry would have been able to do what I did in this that day. And the next time that you think about complaining about your iRacing membership, just know it may save your life. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Thanks for driving down memory lane with me. Again, let me know in the comments if you've ever had a situation similar. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.